These unusually beautiful stamps from the Royal Mail illustrate the modern rebirth of the ancient craft of pottery. Buy all 4 at your local post office from Tuesday, October the 13th. Most main offices also sell this handsome presentation pack and postcards to send or to save. British Stamps. Beautiful gifts you want to keep.
Good afternoon. The southeast has been devastated by the most serious storms in living memory. 7 people have died, dozens more have been injured. Thousands of buildings have been damaged and large parts of the region are still cut off with trees across roads. Near Chatham, a 50-year-old woman died when a tree crashed into her bedroom, bringing tons of masonry with it. 2 seamen have drowned after their ship capsized and sank off Dover Harbour. Another man died when his farmhouse was wrecked in the 100-mile-an-hour winds at Biddenden. At Detling, near Maidstone, a motorist was killed when his car hit a tree on the A249. Many buildings have been destroyed. 2 men died at Hastings, one when a roof collapsed at a hotel, and the other when he was hit by the roof of a beach hut. Fallen trees and debris meant there were no trains to or from London. Rail commuters stayed at home, but car drivers faced long and hazardous journeys to work. And there's now a serious risk of flooding along the River Stour between Ashford and Lenham. We'll have more news in an extended Coast to Coast at 6 o'clock. Join us then. Goodbye.
Tonight in the south, 2 Dorset firemen among 14 dead in the gales. In Kent, a woman dies after a tree demolishes her bedroom. Shanklin Pier on the Isle of Wight is smashed to pieces. In the Channel, a ferry runs aground and 2 sailors drown off Dover. Good evening to you. 14 people are feared dead in the storms which left a trail of devastation across the south and southeast. Cost of the damage runs into millions of pounds, and in tonight's hour-long edition of Coast to Coast we'll bring you reports from all around the region. 2 Dorset firemen died at Highcliffe, 2 people have been killed at Hastings, 2 seamen are missing off Dover. There's chaos in Brighton, one of many towns hit by widespread damage, and Shanklin Pier on the Isle of Wight has collapsed. Winds as high as 108 miles per hour were recorded through the night. At least 100,000 homes are still without power. Later we'll talk to Southern Electricity about the problems they're facing, to the police about the chaos on the roads, and to legal and insurance experts about the cost of the damage. But first, the headlines from the south and southeast, and first, Fern Britton in the south.
In the south, 6 people are known to have died, some buried as their houses collapsed, others in cars hit by falling trees. The army has been called in to help get trains running again and to clear roads in Hampshire. 2 Dorset firemen died when a tree fell on their cab at Highcliffe. They were returning from an emergency call. Flats and houses along the south coast have been wrecked. There's been reports of looting at damaged stores in Southampton, Brighton and Portsmouth. Shanklin Pier on the Isle of Wight has collapsed into the sea, and an oil tanker has run aground at Hamble in Hampshire. 90 old people were evacuated when winds ripped the roof off their old people's home. And in Brighton, the Royal Pavilion is one of thousands of buildings to have suffered damage. And the roof of an electricity substation in the town has just collapsed, and Brighton is now totally without power.
Here in the southeast, 7 people are feared dead. 300 families are homeless. 2 crewmen were killed when the Cypriot bulk carrier Sumnio sank outside Dover Harbour in 100-mile-an-hour winds. 1 cross-channel ferry is aground off Folkestone. Another's been stranded at sea since the early hours of this morning, with 150 passengers aboard. At Hastings, a man died when the roof of the Queen's Hotel collapsed. Nearby, a man was killed by roofing torn from a beach hut. And 3 people have been killed by falling trees, including a 50-year-old woman at Chatham, whose home was crushed. Tonight, Kent Police have issued a series of flood warnings. That's serious flooding to come. Ironically, there's also a drought warning because of power cuts to water pumping stations. And there's also a leopard on the loose after a tree damaged its cage at Howlett Zoo near Canterbury.
There's a warning tonight that water supplies could be at risk, and we'll have more information on that later. But first, reports now from counties all across the south and southeast on the extent of the devastation. We go first to Mike Devons in the southeast.
The gales hit the resort town of Hastings with tragic results.
Welcome back to you. The latest news on road and rail services and electricity supplies in just a moment. First, the rest of the day's news from around the region. In the newsroom, Anna Maria Ash with tonight's news brief.
Good evening. Police today named the woman found stabbed to death on Wednesday in a hotel at Bagshot in Surrey.
And thank you to you, Don McNaughton. Back for the final word now to Fern.
Thank you, Fred. Well, that's it from this special edition of Coast to Coast tonight. We leave you with pictures and scenes from the last 24 hours. 24 hours that it will take people in the south and southeast a very long time to forget. We do hope you have a much quieter weekend and look forward to seeing you on Monday. Good night.
Because of that specially extended edition of Coast to Coast, tonight's published programme in the Country Ways series looking at the Medway in March has been cancelled. It will, of course, be shown at a later date.
Tonight on TVS, the lives, the loves, the passions and the scandal of the Bretts.
They make out that you're a scarlet woman and an anarchist. I'm a dangerous revolutionary. I'm an unstable film star given to public displays of temper.
I like Americans, especially dance men. Don't be such a stuffy old butler.
I'll ruin the lot of you.
How? Yes.
The curtain rises on The Bretts, tonight at 8 on TVS.
And now stay with us to join host Marty Kane and the new faces of 87 coming up after the break.
Nescafe Blend 37. Richer, darker, distinctly continental.